Today's episode is brought to you by HID Mobile Access, the most secure and convenient way to open doors with the device you already use every day. With HID, organizations get flexible, future-ready solutions that easily integrate into workplace and tenant experience apps, creating a seamless journey from street to suite. If you're ready to modernize your access control experience, try it for yourself. Sign up for a free trial at hidglobal.com/solutions and click on Mobile Access.
Today's a special day for me because I get to sit down with a good industry friend of mine, Matt Bennett, who is now the Vice President of Strategic Alliances and Mobile at Alert Enterprise. Matt's career spans legacy heavyweights like Genetec and HID Global. Sound familiar? And now he's helping shape the future of access through digital transformation. We talk about what he's learned from both worlds, how mobile is changing the game, and what's next for the industry. Welcome to Founders, a limited series deep dive into the innovators reshaping the access control and smart building world. For decades, our industry has relied on panels, readers, and cards. But today, a new wave of creators is redefining what access control can be. These founders are bringing fresh ideas, new technologies, and a renewed focus on user experience, not just for operators, but for occupants, visitors, and anyone who interacts with our buildings. In this series, we explore their stories, where they came from, what drives them, and how their vision is reshaping our future. Founders is designed to prepare you for the paradigm shift ahead and help you lead meaningful change within your organization. So let's dive in. So joining me today, as mentioned at the outset, is the man with the best mustache in the access control industry. Now, after I shaved mine, and he's pretty annoyed with me about that, is Matt Bennett. Hello, Matt.
Hey, good morning, Phil. I am quite upset with you that you shaved the mustache. I spent weeks growing this for this podcast, so you really disappointed me this morning, but it's all right.
We'll try to rectify that with a good conversation.
Sounds
and
good.
Then the man from Australia, Troy Johnston. Troy, who are you? And what do you do for HID?
I am the Director of Strategic Alliances for HID, and I manage technology companies and work with wonderful people like Matt Bennett here.
Well, don't puff him up too much. So, in doing research for this episode, I wanted to come up with like a foundational statement. Like after all this research and distill it down, who in my mind is Alert Enterprise? So I'm just going to read you what I came up with, which is Alert Enterprise is an identity, security, and cyber-physical convergence company known for its Guardian platform, which unifies physical access control, logical identity, HR systems, directories, and risk analytics. Guardian connects access control, human resources, IT directories, and operational systems to create policy-driven, automated workflows across both IT and OT environments. The company is heavily focused on cloud-first identity governance and mobile access strategies. Woof. That's a lot.
It is.
What does that even mean, and what does it miss?
So put that in plain English now.
Please.
Okay. You can think of Alert Identity as Alert Enterprise as an identity layer. We orchestrate the free flow of information between systems that historically have never been connected together. So think of us as a layer that sits on top of your access control system, your Active Directory, your HR system, your other IT systems, and we can take data and elements that exist in System A and functionally change what happens in System B and System C and System D. So we're a layer that has fingers that go down another layer deeper, and we move identities around. That's probably the simplest way to do that.
I feel like in the security industry, like we try to distill things down to like an acronym. Is that physical identity and access management, or is it something different?
Yeah, absolutely. It would be PIAM, Physical Identity and Access Management. It is an orchestration layer that enables, and I'm going to try to not use too many buzzwords, but it enables what we call GRC, governance, risk, and compliance. Mm-hmm. So we can sit and we can listen to databases and we can listen to systems that say, has Matt held this particular certification? Has he taken his certification? If not, I can automatically peel layers of access back from the different access control systems, or vice versa. Very simple element of what can be done, but I think that's an easy one for people to draw parallels to.
Sure. So you and I share common history.
We do.
So you used to work at Genetec.
Correct.
I used to work at Genetec. You used to work at HID. I currently work at HID.
Correct.
I see a pattern.
Yeah, there is a pattern here. Hopefully, you put in 5 years at HID.
I did put in 5 years.
I'm only in year 3, and of course loving every minute of it. But you moved to Alert.
Yes.
So Can you walk us through like your story in the industry? I think it's really interesting because there's a lot of people that look at companies like HID or like Genetech or even like Alert Enterprise and say, "Oh, how do I get to that point as an industry professional? How do I go and work for a manufacturer? Like, how did you get to the spot that you're at today?"
I wish I could say it's easily replicatable for everyone, but my journey was interesting. I fell into physical security by accident. I didn't know physical security existed. Quite honestly, I was working for tech startup companies, and most of them had gone out of business, and I got tired of being laid off of startup companies, and so I wanted something more solid. So I started doing some research, and I came across a company called Genetech. The role fit my skill set, but I had no idea what the company was. Up until that point, I thought physical security was going to Costco and buying a DVR, and I thought that's what every business and organization in the world did. Let alone, I had no concept of what access control was, what license plate recognition was. That stuff blew my mind. But anyway, it was a job. I applied for it, and honestly, I had no idea what I was getting myself into. But it's been a fun journey, though. I mean, as you know, Genetech is obviously a software-driven company, had been pioneering cutting-edge software for many, many years. And so I had the privilege of going through multiple roles from pre-sales engineering to sales to account management to global accounts. And then there was an opportunity to join HID and really build and structure a program around companies that are operationalizing mobile access. And I think it was the right opportunity at the right time. Mobile was just really starting to become mainstream in the higher education space. And we had a lot of interest in the corporate world. And so we had a whole list of companies, many of whom you'll speak to or your current partners today, that needed, I don't want to say hand-holding, but they needed a path in order to accelerate their growth with HID. So that was my role, was to build out an ecosystem and build out a program and collaborate with others at HID to make sure that these partners had everything they needed to be successful. So I enjoyed that for, like I said, about 5 years. I had the privilege of living overseas. I spent nearly 3 years living in London, and then had a personal realignment and needed to move back to the States due to a personal family emergency. And so I took that as an opportunity to really just do something entirely different. And that's what led me to Alert Enterprise, a company who I've known for many years as an HID partner, who really wanted to double down on their growth of mobile access. Instead of treating it as, almost an afterthought, really make it a leading line of business and really invest heavily in building out a phenomenal mobile experience. So that's what I do. That's what I'm privileged to do for Alert Enterprise. So I currently serve as Vice President of Mobile Access and Strategic Partnerships. And obviously HID being one of our very key strategic partnerships. So it's fun. Everything comes full circle, right? And,
Right.
You and I have been down the same journey. Though I've left HID, I'm still working very closely with HID on a daily basis, and I'm enjoying every minute.
It's funny. Like my story is quite similar. Like, and I think if you ask most security professionals, how did you get to where you are today? They'll say like, by accident. I don't think that that's a rare sort of take. Mine is very similar. I was looking for a job. I had an uncle who worked for a distributor, and I needed a job, and he hooked me up with the job. And after many years, I landed HID.
Yeah.
Troy, what about you? I mean, obviously your accent's not from Brooklyn.
No, you won't detect the Brooklyn or the Texan, unfortunately. No, my background's very similar, right? I started in the security industry, but I guess mine was on tools, fixing, installing, went into distribution, training system integrators, and then made that leap, I guess, into the manufacturing space. So based on your background, Matt, how important do you think that technical knowledge is? Like if I'm a security integrator on the tools today and I want to make that jump, right, and get off the tools, what's your advice?
I mean, when I joined this industry 13, 14 years ago, it was critical, or it was important, but maybe not critical. I think today it is entirely critical.
Yeah.
I think today it is more important than it ever has been before. Think about every conversation that we have. Are we talking to physical security often? Not as much as we used to. We're talking to IT departments. We're talking about Active Directory integrations. We're talking about SCIM. We're talking about APIs. We're talking about REST methodologies. Those are skill sets that many in our industry have never been taught before. And I think that's why I'm so excited about some of the new talent entering our industry right now, and some of the programs that are being fostered inside of SIA and other organizations to really help accelerate the journey towards convergence of IT and security, because we need to be able to have these conversations, and many in our industry cannot, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because when I started my journey, early 2000s, you're talking about DVRs, multiplexers, quads, time-lapse recorders, and you had to know all that sort of terminology. Now, I feel like the cameras pretty much like that's a solved thing. Is it going to perform well at night? Yeah. Is it super high resolution? Yeah. Does it have varifocal lenses, and is the lensing great? Yeah. Like you don't almost need to know that that kind of information. What you need to know now are more tools around cybersecurity, AI,
Absolutely.
machine learning.
It's a
things of that
network
nature.
device at the end of the day. How do we secure that network device? And again, I think that's a skill set that many in our industry don't have, but are working towards. And I think that's great. It's going to just build more credibility for all of us.
So that's really interesting that we end up here, because I did have this specific question written down, which is what habits or philosophies are worth preserving and what need to evolve, right? And that could be like from a technician perspective, but that can also be from a manufacturer's perspective. Like, what are we doing today that kind of just let's just stop? But what needs to change, and what should we keep?
I mean, it's a double-edged sword, right? Our industry is a very mature, robust industry that has been around for decades. But that also comes with a lot of baggage. That comes with a lot of legacy mindsets and ways of thinking, and that's just the way we've always done it. And quite honestly, nothing infuriates me more than that sentence right there. I think we need to challenge the norms. We need to challenge the status quo. We need to really reframe a lot of these conversations. I mean, what got us here is not what's going to get us to this next evolution of where we are going in our industry. So. But don't get me wrong, there's a lot of really good foundational work that's been built. There's a lot of really great operational models that have been put into place over the last few decades. But, I think where we really start, mobile is that convergence point, is that tipping point. It is an iterative journey from plastic to mobile, but we no longer will iterate coming from here. We are now in a transformation period, and it's going to take, again, new ways of thinking and reframing conversations to be able to actually gain mass market adoption.
How fast is that transformation taking place, like
Faster
from your
than
perspective?
anything we've ever seen before.
Yeah.
I've got this really cool graphic that I use all the time that sort of looks at the increasing pace of adoption and disruption. And you look at everything from magstripe to procs to Bluetooth to wallet. And we are seeing an undeniable wave of demand coming for wallet that we have never seen anything like that in our industry before. But I think there are still barriers in place. There is no lack of interest and demand for the solution in the market, but what there is a lack of today is education, knowledge, and a way to actually get this in your organization. The barrier to entry to wallet today is too high, and I'm not just talking about it from a cost perspective.
So, okay, let's to steal a trendy phrase, let's double click on that. What do you mean? Like, obviously, and by the way, this is something that you and I deal with every day at HID, is the perceived complexity around wallet.
Yeah.
But why is wallet perceived to be more challenging to implement?
The number of systems that need to be integrated behind the scenes, the actual workflows. I mean, we are killing the swivel chair. We're not just replacing it. We're completely getting rid of it, which means we're removing people from process. And that's a really hard pill for a lot of organizations to swallow, who are very used to Control-C, Control-V, pasting data between systems, multiple mouse clicks. Now everything must be automated and orchestrated across the board. And that orchestration of identities, free-flowing, propagation of data across systems is very difficult and challenging to do, which means there's a relatively small number of players who can actually do this today.
Well, and not to cut you off,
please.
but I think the really interesting thing here is around like legacy systems, because it's not just, we're automating these processes. We're automating these processes around readers and controllers and credentials that have been on the wall for 15 years, 20 years.
Yeah.
And that's easier said than done.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the good and the bad of this industry, right? Companies like HID make phenomenal readers and really great hardware. It's almost too good, right? Because people put it on the wall, they don't die, they don't get replaced, which means they often don't support the new technologies that we need. So that's genuinely one of the biggest barriers to adoption today, is just the physical legacy infrastructure that exists out there.
So from that perspective, what are the most effective ways that you're seeing companies start the transition process from physical to mobile, or even not just physical to mobile credentials, but just adoption of a physical identity and access management platform, period?
Yeah.
Like, what are the barriers, and where are you seeing successes?
I mean, there's different answers to that question. When we frame it through the lens of mobile credentials specifically, one thing we spend a lot of time doing is consulting, is educating. And I think in general, that is where companies who are being successful right now are investing their time, is in education of the industry. I do a lot of speaking. I do a lot of trainings and things like that are specifically focused around this transition. And it's a big pill to swallow, but you don't have to eat the elephant in one bite. We can cut this up. We can modernize some of our legacy access control systems. We can work with our hardware partners and put the right infrastructure in place. We can make this a layered approach. This is not an overnight rip and replace sort of thing. So you can baby step this out. There's always, I hate the analogy, but there's always the crawl, walk, run approach. Never been more salient, I think, than where we are right now. It's a lot. Change management is tough.
Going back to the education front, how educated are the customers these days? You're dealing with banks, government. How educated are these individuals in this space?
Well, we're fortunate that most of our customers are on the enterprise side of the house. They are very educated. They work directly with companies like you. So our education is not around why you should move to mobile. It's how you actually get there.
Sure.
My conversations very, very rarely are me convincing someone to move mobile. There's enough opportunity in the market right now that my conversations are on how do we actually get there? What are the steps that we need to take? What systems do we need to put in place? What are our best practices? What have I learned over 5+ years of actually deploying this out in the field? How do we put policies in place? How do we actually use effective change management? We're changing behaviors as much as we're changing systems. We're teaching people to use a physical device, a tangible device that is in their pocket, and we're asking them to take their personal device, put corporate company information on it. So there's an inherent layer of trust that we have to build with our customers that we've never had to in this industry before. And it's fun, but it's also a tremendous opportunity for all of us, again, to rethink how we're having these conversations with our customers.
I'm really interested about the misconceptions, because this is something that, as the mobile evangelist, I hear every day, which is, well, what about my legacy infrastructure? What about my cards? What about what's the role of the visual ID badge and all this sort of fun stuff? And of course, there's talking points around that, and there's narratives around that, and obviously, I fully believe in the future being mobile. But I'm curious, at the enterprise level, what are the misconceptions that you're hearing, or what are the common areas where folks are pushing back?
I mean, I hate to go there immediately, but cost is one of the first misconceptions. When you take the landed cost of a mobile credential, let's take a wallet credential, and there's a lot of mouths to feed in that value chain there. It is always, on an apples to apples comparison, going to lose against a plastic card every single time. And I think that's the opportunity that we have in the industry, is again to position and sell value. And that is an area that I think our industry has historically struggled tremendously. We're used to selling boxes and SKUs and widgets. Now this is a sale where we're value engineering an outcome, and we're selling an outcome. We are not actually selling necessarily a product. We're selling a non-tangible service, if you will. So I think there's a lot of opportunity, again, for us to consult on our way through that. But I think cost is one of the first barriers to adoption when you look at our customers who are looking at things at economies of scale. They're looking at things at hundreds of thousands of users. This is not let's go spend $20,000 and move mobile credentials in an organization. These are sometimes multi-million-dollar projects. So we have to approach it differently than we have previously.
Well, and I also think that the enterprise customers also considering not just the physical card and the risks and all that jazz, but they're looking to solve other problems that maybe moving to mobile might help them, or just moving to an identity and access management platform is going to solve
operational
for them.
Problems.
That's
largely.
it.
Yeah.
And the value add is then the mobile credential, it can do all this stuff. Oh, and we can do this.
Correct. Yep, absolutely. And to be fair, that is how we have always pitched this as our leading line of business is our identity and access management, the orchestration platform. Mobile credentials have always been the cherry on top. It's always been the phase 2, the phase 3 of a project. What we've spent the last year doing is re-architecting and rebuilding so that mobile can be our leading line of business. We can start with mobile, the problems that it solves, the challenges the challenges that it overcomes, and then we transition customers into an identity and an orchestration platform. So we have a unique opportunity as a business because our breadth and our reach is so wide that we can come in with more than a bespoke one-off solution. We're not just talking about making a black box go beep. We're talking about an entire change management program.
So I'm curious, what is the role of the traditional access control system in the future? Like over the next 5 or 10 years, clearly there's still panels, there's still readers, there's still credentials, whether they're mobile or plastic or a fob or whatever. Yeah. But as you see it, what role does the legacy access control system play?
Oh, I mean, I think they still have a very critical role. And listen, we have no ambitions of replacing the physical access control systems. We want to work with all of them. They do provide tremendous value from the entitlements, from obviously securing doors, securing facilities. But as we like to talk about a lot, it's not about keeping bad guys out anymore. It's about making sure that people have free flow through a facility. We're optimizing better use of space. So I think those legacy access control systems will be successful as they start embracing third-party data, and they start opening up data lakes, and they allow us via API to feed them data from other systems that they may not have access to, and vice versa, opening up their data lakes and giving us access to data that we can then use to structure decision-based outcomes inside our platform.
How much does that impact projects do you guys do? So you talk about legacy access control systems. Is that the number one blocker or impediment to moving forward with these projects?
No. It really is legacy infrastructure. It is hardware. That is the number one blocker. Greenfield opportunities, though they're few and far between, they're easy. They're a slam dunk. They're very simple. But it becomes, and this is, I think, HID's opportunity, is the complexities of firmwares and mob keys and key delegation, solving the problems in commercial real estate of a unified experience of using my tenant pass in the base building and the base building pass in the tenant suite. I think those are areas where our industry still needs to invest heavily into making that an easier process. It's not an area that we typically spend a lot of time in. We're more on the tenant side of all of this, but that's why I'm so eager to collaborate with all of our commercial real estate partners here, because all of our clients are tenants inside of their buildings as well. And so we really need to work on those problems.
And by the way, I think where as an industry we've kind of missed over the last 5 or 10 years is the solution for that environment of I'm a tenant in a commercial building is I'm going to give you at least 2 cards. One to get through the turnstile, one to get in your tenant space, and don't forget them, right? And if you have multiple office buildings, let's say you have one in Manhattan, one in Boston, one in DC, now you're walking around with at least 4.
And if all we're doing is giving 3 or 4 mobile credentials to solve that problem, we've missed the mark. We're not solving a problem. We're just changing the structure in which the problem exists.
Right. So as security professionals, so as the folks watching this podcast are thinking about these types of concepts, what should the security professional be looking at? Like how do they evolve their business? I very much look at this time through the lens of the early 2000s as we transitioned from analog, multiplexers, time-lapse recorders to DVRs to eventually IP. And there was a real big shift in the industry around that time of these IT companies sneaking into our space. And the folks that did really well were the ones that adopted IP cameras early and learned network infrastructure. What should the security professional be doing today to be sort of brought up to speed on these types of solutions and offering this to their customers?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first part is don't underestimate user experience. We're transitioning from an industry that has built one-size-fits-all solutions for everyone to now bespoke, custom, one-off integrations and experiences that we're building. But let's not forget the actual tangible touch experience. Let's make sure that we're delivering a delightful, wonderful, not only tap experience at the door, but provisioning experience. Let's make sure this is as simple as possible. So those organizations should be thinking about, how do I integrate this into my current technology stack? It should be no more difficult to put a mobile credential on your phone than it is to sign in to Salesforce, to Office 365. It should be that simple. So let's think about the people who are actually touching and using our technology on a daily basis. But also, when we're thinking about people, there's also a change management conversation that needs to happen here. We're not just changing technology, we're changing behaviors of individuals. And so let's not understate that. That means we must take a more consultative, and we as an industry must take a more consultative approach here across the board. And then, lastly, I know this is going to sound a little bit cliche, but collaboration beats control every single time.
Oh, yeah.
And so I think we need to break down a lot of these legacy barriers and artificial barriers we put up in this industry. And we need to think about who we can partner with, who we can collaborate with, because no one company can do all of this themselves. And this is why I'm going to say kudos to HID for putting this whole event together that we're at now, where we're bringing all of our, potentially competitors into a room together and allowing us all to network and collaborate. I think it's a wonderful space you guys have created.
It's really important. I think that collective think tank. I mean, we all got our own opinions, our own ideas, but collectively we can solve a lot of problems together.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to double click on the point you made about the human element, like the change management.
Yeah.
And I think that's often not spoken about. We focus on the technology, what's at the door, what's happening in the cloud, but we don't talk about the mass movement of these people and how we're changing that.
Yeah.
How involved do you get in that process, or do you have people on your team that actually help these customers?
Very, very involved. The technology side is the easiest part of all of this. It's the people. It's changing behaviors is the most complicated part. Now, I will say geography and capital cities play a huge impact in this. We're in New York right now. How many people commuted here today via the subway? How many people tapped in? How many people bought a coffee along the way? So this is where I'm going to give all credit to companies like Apple and Google, who deliberately took a pause on rolling the wallet experience into corporate access. And what they did is they opened up so many other verticals and avenues for this tap-based approach inside Wallet, whether that be from payments, from transit, from the Disney experience, the theme park experience, car experience. People know how to tap today. So it's an explanation that what we're doing is no different than how you bought your coffee at Starbucks this morning or how you tapped into the subway this morning. We're just extending that into the base building experience. However, that base building experience is where we need to really work with people and technology and understand the nuances and the differences between how I use my plastic card today, even all the way down to how do I hold my phone? I will say, guys, I have seen people lose their freaking minds as soon as they get a corporate credential on their phone. They're trying to shove the bottom of their phone into a reader, which is absolutely wild to me, considering you probably paid at Starbucks for your coffee properly by tapping the top of your phone. So education is a really big part of this as well. There's also, for anyone who's in this industry, please sit down with your users on day one and watch your users in the lobby of the building, watch them interact with technology. They pick it up faster than you think. But there's also, I think the other thing that we don't talk about enough is the demographics. And there's definitely going to be, I don't mean to lump users into groups, but there's the boomers, there's the millennials, and there's the Gen Zs. And I think we can all figure out who adopts technology quicker and who has less friction throughout the process with this. So again, as the current workforce starts aging out over the years, I think we're going to see even faster and more mainstream adoption of this. And we can look to higher education as a great parallel to draw there.
Yeah, absolutely. So with the last few minutes, I thought it would be fun to do a bit of a lightning round.
Okay.
So keep your answers short. I'll try to keep my questions short as well. Yeah, the three of us in this room tend to get diarrhea of the mouth on occasion. So
yes,
let's start first with what's the most outdated idea in this industry that needs to die?
I say this a lot, but I'm going to go back to our own little fiefdoms that we have all created where we all think that we've drawn a red line in the sand and we cannot dip our toe across. So I think collaboration is the biggest opportunity for improvement there.
What is a technology outside of security that inspires your work?
I'm going to refer back to just the way that Apple looks at how users interact with technology, all the way from they measure the distance that a thumb has to reach across a phone to hit UI elements in there, and they re-architect and rebuild their UI to reduce as much friction as possible. I think it's beautiful, and we need to adopt more of that.
I love that. What emerging trends are people undervaluing right now?
It's cliche, but I'm going to say convergence, physical and logical and IT security convergence. There are stakeholders that in organizations that we are not talking to today that can unlock tremendous value for all of us.
I know this is the lightning round and I'm violating my own rules, but totally agree. I think a lot of our the traditional way that security's always been sold is you go to the security department and you talk to them about an upgrade. But I find that the more successful folks selling these more robust solutions are starting at IT, or at least involving IT as early in the process as possible, because they're also worried about convergence as well.
Yeah,
is it time to embrace the term phygital?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good one. And, sorry, Phil, I'm going to just take 1 second here, and I'm just going to expand on that a little bit as well. So we made some bold investments and moves in our business to actually re-architect our entire platform on other platforms. So whether that be Salesforce, whether that be ServiceNow, whether that be Microsoft, whether that be Amazon, we think that's the future because that's going to unlock entirely new buying groups that we're not exposed to today at all.
What emerging trend are people overvaluing? What's overrated right now?
Honestly, I don't know. You guys.
AI?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I do not think that's overrated by any means. I think we're just barely scratching the surface of where AI can add value in the physical security stack. There are so many manual processes that AI can automate today that we have not even scratched the surface on.
What's one word that people would use to describe your company, Alert Enterprise, today? And what is that word in 5 years?
I'm going to change that. One word they use today and a different word they'll use tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think legacy, because we often get lumped into the PSIM or we get lumped into the integration group. That is not who we are. We are reinventing ourselves as an organization, as a company. So I would say the one word that people are going to use moving forward is progressive.
Oh, I like that.
Nice.
What's more exciting to you, AI, digital identity, or automation?
As the mobile guy, I know this is going to be a weird answer, but AI. Truly.
How so?
Truly. Again, going back to what I just said, there's so many legacy manual processes that exist in the industry today that that AI can instantly come in and solve that we are not even beginning to scratch the surface of today. There's so many chatbots and agents where I can have a natural language conversation and say, Phil's coming to visit me tomorrow. He needs access to the building. You will, within a few seconds, receive an email invitation with a link to add a pass to wallet.
Yeah. Yes.
That exists today.
Yeah, absolutely. What is one prediction you're willing to make on record? So you look into your crystal ball 10 or 15 years from now. What does Matt Bennett see in the future?
In less than 10 years, mobile credentials will be the predominant modality above and beyond plastic. I'm not saying plastic will die, but I'm saying the industry will be adopting mobile at a faster rate than they are plastic.
Not biometric?
That's the question I had.
Biometric is, yes. I don't want to put any numbers behind that, but biometric is growing tremendously. But 10 years sounds like a lot, but when you think about the baggage that our industry has, this is a really big ship to steer. So if we can get to a tipping point where mobile becomes a predominant modality, I think we've all done our job successfully.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, even for us, mobile's been around for 10 years, and still people are saying it's new.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, and that's just legacy security industry nonsense.
Yeah.
Last question, non-industry related, but you're a technology guy. What's your go-to productivity hack? Like, how do you simplify your life from a productivity perspective at work?
I have been leaning into AI in every aspect of my life lately, whether it be, just basic asking ChatGPT for restaurant recommendations, all the way to, designing and rendering a home for me. And, as we're looking at building a new home, literally leaning into building costs and elements and rendering out what my living room could look like and all of this, I'm finding so much value in integrating LLMs into every aspect of my life.
Yeah, I think if you're not leveraging AI, at least as a beginner right now, I think that's where a lot of people could maybe take some courses or do some learning.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just lowering the barrier to entry to everything today.
Everything. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Matt Bennett, the man with the best mustache in the industry after I shaved mine, I would greatly appreciate you being on the foundational episode of Founders. Any last comments that you'd like to leave the audience with?
No, I will say that I am more optimistic right now about where we are as an industry and the potential upside that we have than I have been in the last 14 years. I've had more fun in the access control industry in the last few years than I have the entirety of my career combined. I think there's tremendous opportunity for everyone right now, and I'm just really excited about where we're going as an organization.
Fantastic. Troy, any parting words?
No, I'm good.
Excellent. Well, if you'd like to learn more about Alert Enterprise, alertenterprise.com.
Perfect.
Connect with Matt on LinkedIn, and we'll see you on the next one.
Today's episode is brought to you by HID Mobile Access, the most secure and convenient way to open doors with the device you already use every day. With HID, organizations get flexible, future-ready solutions that easily integrate into workplace and tenant experience apps, creating a seamless journey from street to suite. If you're ready to modernize your access control experience, try it for yourself. Sign up for a free trial at hidglobal.com/solutions and click on Mobile Access.